I've said it many times, I know I would change my ways, I know for sure. When all the crows decide to meet, they settle down
I'm
beneath
glad
my
that I have a good
feet.
spouse instead of a great career.
I've
While it
got
is
it right
ideal
and
to
I've
have
got it
both, it's
wrong,
more worth it to me to have a good
but
spouse.
I learned
I
my
mean,
lesson
ideally, it's great when you have
early
both.
on.
I mean, really great when you have both.
Come sit
If
here
you
with
are
me
very,
by
very
the
lucky.
fire
Unfortunately,
and let it
today I
go
came
for a
home
little
in the rain
while.
feeling absolutely defeated.
So
At work,
please,
those that were in a higher position than me made a decision that I did not agree with. It seemed that all I could do was watch helplessly as my place of employment decided to put money over the well being of the staff and the people we serve. Have you ever had a conversation with a boss but knew that their ears were closed off and things were so set in stone that it didn't really matter what you said? So instead of busting out your charts, graphs, and other good points you came up with during your hour-long shower, you just hear your voice trail off and you tell everyone you'll see them tomorrow and you walk away. Well, that was me. Walking to my door, I felt infuriated. I felt the last straw of patience in my heart snap. This time, I was done giving a damn about the working worlds, and I would be quiet quitting from now on. You see, this wasn't the first time that I had felt steamrolled over. Every job I've ever had, I have felt taken advantage of in some way. I have felt overworked, stretched thin, burnt out, undervalued, and the list goes on. I know that no place is perfect, but I don't know what it's like to work for a place that you're proud of. I just haven't had that experience. I don't know what it's like to not dread mornings. Any place I have worked, I have felt like I put on handcuffs when I signed the job offer. But as I turn my key and enter through the door, my sweet little dog jumps up to greet me. My husband runs and gives me a big hug. Dinner is already taken care of. He tells me he's already picked out a funny movie for us to watch. I tell my husband that I appreciate that he took care of everything. I thank him for the coffee that he sent me at work, and how all my coworkers told me how lucky I was and how they wish their significant others would send them little surprises throughout the day. You know, I have not had the best luck when it comes to jobs, and I've tried. I've really tried. I've gotten help, I've tried some inward reflection to see why I attract such toxic jobs. I've tried going back to school and all that good stuff. But alas, perhaps I'm a defective modern woman. My husband is not perfect, but he's pretty close. For me personally, and I know this isn't true for everyone, but for me, it's far more worth it to have a good spouse than a good job. To me, careers are business deals. You show up, do the work, help them make a ton of money, and in return, you don't starve. A job will drop you like a hot potato, at least in my experience, when crap hits the fan, or if it's in the best interest of the company. No matter how hard you worked, no matter how early you've gotten up, you are gone. Bye bye. And yes, people's spouses do leave. It's a sad reality, but not the good ones. Good spouses, like my husband, are in it to win it when it comes to their marriage. A marriage is not a business deal, at least not in modern day America. In the West, marriage is supposed to be about love. It is your family. I know that there are those that disagree and would argue with me, but in my perspective, marriage, at least with a good spouse, is about love. My husband has my back no matter what, and I have his. It's the most comforting feeling in the world to have someone to fight all the battles of this life with. A good spouse loves you for you. A kind and loving spouse is not out to suck every last little bit of energy out of you. They are not thinking of how you can maximize their profits. They won't be looking for ways to cut corners that may put your health and safety in danger. Now, a bad toxic spouse might do these things, but a good spouse will not. An awesome spouse will not give you a hard time if you are sick, like a lot of jobs do. There could be a million women lined up in a row trying to get my husband's attention, but I know that my husband will always look for me because he's told me. He's told me that nobody will ever be me. Studies have shown that marriage statistically increases the likelihood of fidelity. Now, there's no guarantees in life, but a lot of research does say that cohabiting couples are at a higher risk for cheating than their married counterparts. I can always find a decent job out there. Always.
Aww.
Especially nowadays when it seems like every industry is pressed for workers. But finding a loving man, or loving person for that matter, who works hard every day for our marriage is a little bit harder to find, at least in my experience. It gives me such peace in my heart knowing that as long as God gives him breath, he will always be here. A kind soul that you can trust 100% no matter what is like owning gold. In my life, it's been hard for me to trust anybody. Like most people, I've been burnt like a forgotten Pop-Tart in the toaster. I am so glad that I can have someone I can trust in my life. People you can trust your life, your money, your secrets with, they're the real treasures. If you have someone like that in your life, cherish them. A company or a job will never be able to look out for you the way a loving partner can. Growing up, my home life was very chaotic. I know my parents were only doing their best, but they were so toxic to each other, and they were unknowingly toxic towards my sisters and I. My sisters and I could never relax because we knew that a scream match was just around the corner. Every day until I moved out, I dealt with severe anxiety issues. Now, my parents have since apologized and have done better to repair the relationships with my sisters and I. But for my husband and I, we wanted something different for our family. We wanted more love, more laughter. We wanted moments that were downright silly. With my husband, there's no more walking on eggshells like I used to as a kid. We are by no means perfect, but it's nice to have a spouse that is committed to growing in the same direction as you. To me, jobs come and go. While a stressful job takes a toll on your health, a good spouse can have a positive impact on your health. There's been a lot of research on the benefits of marriage for adults. Married couples tend to live longer. In some cases, people had the risk of disease of people in the age group 10 years younger than them. Married couples also tend to have a stronger immune system compared with their single or divorced counterparts. But having a spouse that helps create the feeling of home is what I always aspired to have, and not just to be another cog in this messed up capitalist machine. I wanted a kitchen filled with the smell of cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning with the love of my life. Not so much pats on the back and meaningless awards from company higher-ups. If I had a choice, and I do, I would rather snuggle on the couch watching a ridiculous movie with my best friend than to be crushing it out there and coming home to an empty condo in the city where I keep the TV on for background noise. Just look at all the big shot billionaires our country likes to revere. They're all divorced, from Gates to Bezos. The trail of money is only covering a footpath to brokenness. They gained the world, but they lost the most meaningful relationships a person can have, an amazing spouse. That's not to say money isn't important, because it is. If there's anything in my experience that Hawaii's taught me, is how much
When I was young, I thought control would lead me to an ending road, and heavy metal seemed to be the only thing.
If there's anything that living in Hawaii taught me is how important money is and how much impact money can have on a marriage. It can be hard if you don't have enough. However, a good spouse will help you build a kingdom brick by brick. They will support you through all the ups and downs of your dream. A kind spouse will help multiply your blessings, both monetarily and non-monetary ways. According to research, married couples usually make more money than their single counterparts. If I ever lose a job or have a horrible experience with a job, and I have, my husband is right there to pick me up, and I do the same for him. When I'm with my husband, I know I'm safe. I know I'm loved. Unfortunately, we live in a country where your worth is dependent on what you can do. It seems like even the modern dating world has become nothing but a big popularity contest, where you could easily swipe left for something quote-unquote better. So when you find a person that is down to earth and kind and wants to be there for you, there's no telling what the two of you can accomplish. Sometimes I feel bad that I don't have a dazzling career to brag about during a party conversation. There are days I hear about the amazing accomplishments of someone I grew up with, and while I'm happy for them, I can't help but feel left behind in life. I suppose I could keep trying to crush it out there in the workforce, and I may still one day. I remember my therapist during one session told me that I didn't have to have a career if I didn't want to. I didn't even have to buy a house if I didn't want to, which kind of shocked me, because that's kind of what you're supposed to do, right? I've been learning that it's okay that I'm not a huge career person. I'm grateful that there are people that are. I work and do my part to contribute to society, but I don't have to be into it, so to speak. I'm starting to be okay with wanting to invest in my personal life, my hobbies, marriage, and volunteer work. It's okay if I don't want to give my all to a job. I'm like the millions of workers across the country that have decided to quiet quit, to do the amount of work required to not get fired, and nothing more. Now I know that sounds horrible, but this is a direct response to how horrible workers have been treated, and companies, unfortunately, have been allowed to get away with it. And no, I am not somebody who's privileged enough to quiet quit. I really can't afford not to hustle, but we're going to do it anyway. Our relationship is more important. The next morning, I woke up and looked over to see my husband with his thick, curly black hair. And he was smiling at me. Our little dog jumped on our bed and started wagging her tail. She nudged her nose at us, asking for scratches behind the ears. It was the moment that I had waited for all week. A peaceful, sweet moment. I should have gotten up right away to start my day, but I didn't. If I didn't have this in my life, and it was just work, I would lose my ever-loving mind. If I had to come home to emptiness and darkness, all the success in the world would not matter. It was an act of rebellion to not jump right out of bed and get on the hamster wheel of the hellish capitalistic slavery that we have in this country. I told my husband that I loved him and gave him lots of kisses. We turn off the alarm and we snuggle for a few more moments. Cuddling is amazing, especially with your spouse. It releases oxytocin in our brains, warding off depression and all sorts of other struggles. I take a moment to listen to the wind rustle through the trees and the birds singing sweetly outside our window. I go into our kitchen to start the coffee. The smell of the brewing beans lets me know that it's going to be a good day. Our life together is sweet and simple, but it means everything to me. There is not enough money in this world, not a fancy enough job, that would ever make me want to trade him in.
Can I hold your hand?